couple of main deck red blasts, and otherwise is not touching any red cards. These red blasts will be of very little help against Ryan Hovis's Melirapod deck. So the core of the deck here, the core of the pod deck, is 4 Veteran Explorer, 4 Deathrite Shaman, and 4 Baleful Strixes. After that, all the creatures you're looking at are all 1-ofs. So Deshaun opens up with a Scalding Tarn.
Now, the Veteran Explorer decks, what do they do when they don't have Veteran Explorer?
Just make their land drops. I mean, the Birthing Pod element of this deck gives it a way easier way to win the game. Doesn't have to bother with a Veteran Explorer. You can just resolve pod and value your opponent out. So an opening Cabal Therapy from Ryan on the draw is met with Force of Will by Deshaun. Very aggressive. Pitching a counterbalance.
Wow. Getting rid of Force of Will and counterbalance when he doesn't yet know the hand.
Perhaps these players know one another and are familiar with each other's lists, but otherwise that's a very aggressive use of Force of Will there. So Deshaun going to go ahead, break his 2 Tarns.
Deathrite Shaman, another backup plan in terms of acceleration. It looks like Ryan Hovis has actually got a pretty nice little setup here with Cabal Therapy trying to clear the way so that he can Deathrite Shaman out a Birthing Pod on turn 3 and use it.
Yeah, I like the setup of Ryan's decks a lot more than the traditional Nick Fit decks because those decks often just go nowhere.
And we see the secret of what Deshaun was protecting. He has 2 counterbalances, does not want to risk losing one, and doesn't care about losing the second one.
Stands to reason. Ryan plays a Scrubland and passes the turn, unwilling to run his Deathrite Shaman or Cabal Therapy into a potential blind counterbalance.
Ah, yes, the old Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay takes care of the counterbalance.
Legacy has been a better place since the number of counterbalances has gone down from Abrupt Decay.
Yeah. Cabal Therapy from Ryan. Deshaun says that's fine. Looks at a hand of Vendilion Click and 2 lands. Jace the Mind Sculptor was the name.
Are we sure that it was the Mind Sculptor, not the Architect of Thought in this board?
Architect of Thought is pretty good against Deathrite Shaman. I mean, it makes it a 0 attack creature.
Yeah.
And there's a Deathrite Shaman from Ryan.
I love when the deck that just cheats with miracles is like always the fair deck in every matchup. That's, I mean, like here, you have counterbalance top and somehow you're the good guy.
So here comes a Vendilion Click from Deshaun. This looks at a hand of 2 Birthing Pods and a Deathrite Shaman.
Some impressive durability, I guess, resiliency.
Deshaun's going to go ahead and take the Deathrite Shaman. But I agree with you, Abrupt Decay definitely makes Legacy a better place.
Yeah, and I know obviously we give Legacy, you know, like we kind of make jokes a little bit about how crazy it is, but I absolutely love the fact that Magic has this world where all the crazy legends from back in the day, they're true and even more so. Like it's this wild place where anything goes, and I think it's awesome because it adds this depth, this richness to Magic. You don't want Magic to always just be draft decks or creatures and removal spells.
Yeah,
you know?
No, it's good to have every format to have its own thing going on.
Yep, absolutely. And Legacy is its own thing. I mean, you'll see modern decks. Here we see Vendilion Click being matched with a Kitchen Finks. Modern, sometimes you see combos, and you're like, oh, wow, you know, you put together Splinter Twin and Deceiver Exarch, or, oh, you know, you put out Karn on turn 3. That's really great. But Legacy is weird. I mean, there's like very non-traditional stuff. Okay.
So a Kitchen Finks here met with a blind reveal from Counterbalance that revealed a Divining Top. Ryan then fired a Veteran Explorer into that. I'm not sure if he's just trying to get the Explorer into his graveyard or if something else is going on there, but that's going to do it. So now Deshaun is going to be able to set up the other half of the combo. So Vendilion Click across for 3.
Sometimes you just got to keep him honest.
You got to make sure he knows.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't know counterbalance triggers every time you cast a
Well,
spell.
and what were you going to do with a Veteran Explorer anyway? He's got a counterbalance and a top in play.
So, Deshaun here, spinning top, critically finds a Venser. Venser is going to allow him to defend himself against these birthing pods.
Yeah, finding Venser is so big.
There's a couple of 4s in the deck. There's the Venser, and then there's the 3 copies of Jace the Mind Sculptor.
So no Venser yet, just a Terminus.
Some risky business. I mean, once birthing pods in play.
Did he have the Venser? Did you see that he had a Venser on top, or?
I believe so,
Wow.
if I'm not mistaken. But Terminus resolves, and that's going to clear the board. Oh, okay. That's
Oh,
Yeah,
I liked
okay.
it. The fake out.
so. Deshaun takes care of the birthing pod here, and can potentially take care of birthing pods going forward, as long as he allows that Venser to just float. So now Ryan is in a world of trouble.
They're trying to piece through the interactions here, make sure all the timing is right. Presumably, Deshaun had a top activation, responded by topping, then used the miracle after triggering it, then resolves the top activation and puts the top on top of the Venser.
Yeah. A lot of chicanery one can do with Sensei's Divining Top. Usually whenever there's a rules confusion about top, the answer is it works. So now we're getting this sorted out here, but I believe Deshaun has the operations down just right.
Yeah, I mean, it is technically possible to do the thing that Deshaun is trying to do. The question is, was there any confusion regarding, or not just confusion, but was there any missteps in terms of I'm activating Top's rearrange ability, then I'm using Top's draw ability, and this is all, all in response to Counterbalance's reveal ability. Then I use the miracle ability, I pay for the miracle, I then rearrange the top of the deck, and then Counterbalance resolves.
So we'll get clarification momentarily on what the actual board state looks like.
Why did he miracle first?
Okay, looks like
And it looks like there was a misstep in terms of the structure. Deshaun with a top left on top of his deck instead of the Venser.
so now birthing pod's in play, and this puts Deshaun in a position where he's going to have to counter essentially every spell that gets through.
Yeah, I think that, do you think there was a little bit too fanciness going on? Like there was no need to actually Terminus there, right?
No, there was no need to. All right, here's an Aethersworn Canonist. Not that Aethersworn Canonist particularly matters because of the text box, but again, every creature just lets the chain get going.
And it looks like Deshaun has a 1, a 3, and a 4.
All right, so here it goes.
Does he have a harmonic sliver or anything like that?
There is...
He has like a Sally Pride Mage, but he can't go get it right here.
No, it does not appear so. Yeah, he's going to go get Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness is going to get back Abrupt Decay. This is also quite good.
Catastrophic. Man, this is a tough one. This is a danger, cool things type of situation.
It almost feels to me like Deshaun's in a position where he may have to consider just miracling and treat and trying to win the game quickly.
Yep, I was just thinking the same thing. He has a one-turn clock if he does that, which obviously will get disrupted by Ryan Hovis's birthing potting, but...
So now
Could also be that this is a trap. Deshaun's trying to, hoping that Ryan's life total will drop low enough that he can just surprise him with an end step miracle of the Entreat the Angels and get in there for 8. You know, 1 pod activation and 1 fetch land, and suddenly we're talking about dead immediately.
All right. So Ryan goes and activates Birthing Pod, sacrificing the Eternal Witness, and Deshaun says, stop. So contemplating response here. We know he has access to Venser. We know he has access to Entreat the Angels.
Yeah, I don't think either one of those is a thing worth stopping right now, or worth pulling out. I mean, both are aces in up your sleeve. You know, save that. You know, save them for a rainy day.
Yeah, and Deshaun agrees, and he says, "Go ahead."
Sometimes you just gotta let them know you got strength, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're not gonna just be pushed around.
All right, so this pod is going to get Ranger Vios. Ranger Vios comes into play. That's going to find a Viscera Seer and a Deathrite Shaman. So shop is officially set up.
Yeah. But Ryan is at 9 life.
So we'll see how he wants to proceed here. He also has the Veteran Explorer. He also may want to Abrupt Decay to just break out of the counterbalance.
Right, unlike Cross and Grip, Abrupt Decay can't be stopped even by a 2. Even by a card of the same cost.
So Deshaun resets with top. He's going to draw. And there is Abrupt Decay on counterbalance. Deshaun says that that is fine. Or rather, there is nothing I can do about that.
Sean, still trying to set up this Entreat the Angels. Also has the option of a Venser at some point.
There's a Viscera Seer. This is Veteran Explorer. And if Ryan had an issue with being bottlenecked on mana before, he may not very soon.
I don't know. I mean, this is going to be all she wrote. If he pays 2 life right here. I mean, the possibility, though, is what if Ranger Vios goes and finds Revelark? You know, he has this Viscera Seer in play. He might just want the Revelark anyway.
Mm-hmm. So
Ryan sacrificing the Veteran Explorer to Viscera Seer. So first the Veteran Explorer's trigger should resolve, and then the Scry.
correct. Now, Veteran Explorer is symmetrical.
But Deshaun does not want to change the top of his library because of that Entreat the Angels, so he has to play it off and act like he doesn't actually know. He has to act like he's forgetting, or that he doesn't know, or he doesn't realize, which is a common thing.
Yeah.
But I think this is a real smart play on Deshaun's part. Don't read the card, don't make it clear that you know, don't say, oh, I don't want anything, just ignore it. Act like you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so Veteran Explorer says made. It's not mandatory that Deshaun pick up his deck and search through it.
Right.
Which would require a shuffle, and then Deshaun's entire line of play is broken up.
How suspicious are you, if you're Ryan Hovis right here, that Deshaun's not searching from Veteran Explorer?
I would be a little suspicious, because even though he messed up what happened, Deshaun displayed enough of an understanding of the rules interactions and implications of dividing top plus activating a response. So the idea that he just has no clue what Veteran Explorer does would make me quite suspicious.
I mean, and Ryan was going to pay the 2 life and thought better of it. And ended up using the Veteran Explorer to get the extra mana so that he doesn't have to. But now it looks like he might be on greedy mode again anyway. He's trying to help himself.
Here's Baleful Strix.
Ah, very important flyer.
And now another Veteran Explorer. We need to see another sacrifice here.
Ryan looks at him. Once again, Deshaun not searching up more land.
There are 6 basics in Ryan's list here. 2 forests, 2 swamps, a plains, and an island. So quite a bit of fuel here for a Veteran Explorer.
Yeah, for many amateur explorers, this would be too much land to put into play. But for a veteran explorer,
Not an issue.
non-issue completely.
So Ryan going to go ahead and pay full retail.
We have a Reveler coming, I assume.
There's Revelark.
There's an immense amount of value going on right now.
Yes, this is actual value town. We've arrived.
Won't you take me to?
It's all the city councilmen of Value Town, you know? Revelark, Baleful Strix, Ranger of Eos, Eternal Witness, they're all here.
Those are like, that's the inner
The
inner
city
circle.
council. That's the city council.
Absolutely.
All right, here comes the top. It's Entreat.
So he does this, he's going to lose his top if he activates that flooded strand and gets maximum value out of the Entreat the Angels.
But it's not clear how much value that top is providing at this point with no counterbalance. I mean, it feels like it matters, but it's not the same thing.
Revelark, an odd sort of card. It looks like Deshaun decides he wants to keep his top, so he only makes 2 Angels.
But in the face of this Revelark and this Baleful Strix, this doesn't feel like it gets him very far.
Yeah, it makes me think like maybe you're supposed to wait a turn, you know, set this up a little bit more. I don't know.
It felt like the window closed here to Entreat for 2.
Yeah, it might also be just some confusion over fetching in response with the Miracle trigger on the stack, you know?
So Deshaun goes ahead and attacks. Ryan's going to go and block just with the Strix. We're leaving Revelark around.
Deshaun at this point hoping to hustle something up with Venser, you know, try to sneak a freebie.
But against Revelark plus Baleful Strix, that's a very challenging wall to get through. We shall see.
Hi. Deathrite Shaman joins the party. What's the most value creature in Magic not in Ryan Hovis's deck?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
I mean, he's got all of them. You know, Ranger of Eos, Eternal Witness, Revelark. I mean, who brings the most value that he does not have?
Is it Sun Titan?
That's a good choice. That's got to be in the running.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody tuning in, if tweet at us at SCG Live, hashtag SCGDET, and if you can include hashtag value, so that we'll know which are the serious submissions. If you have any thoughts on what is the creature in Magic that produces the most value, the most value-centric. I just sort of picture something that Louise Scott Vargas would cast. And tweet at us and let us know. It's got to be which one produces the most value that is not in this Malera pod deck.
So you're saying Ryan trying to go off here. He goes and pods up a Malera, hard casts his Deceiver Exarch, pods away to the Deceiver Exarch, presumably looking for Murderous Redcap. There it is. So now the pressure's on Deshaun to try to break this up.
Right. I mean, a Swords to Plowshares or something like that at least buys him a little bit of time, right?
I'm not even sure if that's true because he can sack
He needs
Malira.
two.
He can sack Malira to the. He can sack Malira to Viscera, then sacrifice Revelark and reestablish. So now, in response to this Terminus here, Ryan trying to reassemble.
Ethersworn Canonist is kind of a beating. That ensures that there's no more funny business.
Yeah, he's just
All right, they pack it in.
reestablishes, yeah.
So Ryan Hovis wins 1-0 is his lead.
Kind of a funky game.
Weird, lots of weirdness. Obviously that Venser mishap earlier on proved fatal.
Yep. Probably just counter the birthing pod.
So after sideboarding, Deshaun will be, he's looking at options of 2 Supreme Verdicts, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Wear Tear, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 1 Pyroblast, 2 Flusterstorm, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Relic of Progenitus, 1 more Venser, 1 Sulfur Elemental, and 1 Spell Snare. Now he's got a lot of good options here. I mean, Pithing Needle, a classic for stopping birthing pod. Do you think he wants stuff like Rest in Peace or Relic of Progenitus? Do you fight this deck with Graveyard? I mean, he's got Eternal Witness, Revelark, the shenanigans we just saw with Malera.
Seems valuable. Graveyard Ryan doesn't have to use his Graveyard to win the game necessarily, but it is a good starting point.
And he wants something to replace these Spell Pierces anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then he's also got Wear and Tear. Wear and Tear, I think it's a totally fine answer to Birthing Pod. You don't want the Birthing Pod to stick, but it's gonna sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at on the other side?
In an Abrupt Decay, with the ability to go up to 3 copies, a Nile Spellbomb, 2 Envelops, a Phyrexian Revoker, an Ethersworn Canonist, a Notion Thief, an Orza Pontiff, a Harmonic Sliver, a Mindbreak Trap, a Venser Shaper Savant, a Thrag Tusk, a Shriek Maw, a Grave Titan, and a Jace the Mind Sculptor. I believe he'll bring in the Jace, the Notion Thief, the 3rd copy of Abrupt Decay, the Phyrexian Revoker as an answer to Sensei's Divining Top, the Harmonic Sliver as a way to break out of the Counterbalance Lock. And other than that, who even knows?
You said Notion Thief?
Yeah, Notion Thief.
Notion Thief seems hot. Dude, all those cards. First of all, who do you just... You're just sitting here playing a Birthing Pod deck and you just have 1 copy of Jace the Mind Sculptor in your sideboard, and I'm not in any way judging.
Right.
But who do you not board that in against? I don't know if I could, I would just shuffle a card up at random, pull it out, and put a Jace in there if I had to.
Probably against the absolute fastest decks of the format. The Jace is probably, because it's not like Ryan's drawing a bunch of Spell Pierces and Force of Wills off this Jace. He's drawing Shriek Maws and Murderous Red Cap. So it's not as powerful in the skeleton that he's put together as it is in your typical blue-based control deck.
I feel like if I was allowed to, I would just add a Jace the Mind Sculptor to whatever 60 I was playing.
Well, I know that if you were tasked with building this Malera pod deck, you would start with removing the 4 Birthing Pods for 4 Jace the Mind Sculptors.
No, dude, Birthing Pod's a fantastic card.
The 4 Veteran Explorers become 4 Brainstorms.
Dude,
we've been down this. We've heard this joke before.
Veteran Explorer is a great card with Jace the Mind Sculptor. You can play Jace on turn 2 sometimes. You can protect your Jace by blocking your opponent's creatures. Like if they attack you with a Crawl Worm, normally Crawl Worm would kill Jace the Mind Sculptor. Veteran Explorer gets in the way.
And David McDarby, actually a dealer for Star City Games, a columnist / person who makes videos. Person who plays in tournaments, is a big fan of his Veteran Explorer Planeswalker deck that explores the synergy of Veteran Explorer and Jace the Mind Sculptor. Liliana the Veil and Karn Liberated.
Oh my God. So Liliana, one of the great things about Liliana in the classic Veteran Explorer Planeswalker strategy is being able to Liliana yourself in the true legacy fashion. If you kill your own creature with your Planeswalker, then you can go get some basic land for your opponent.
Just a lot of negative costing going on.
So Karn showing up in Legacy, that's awesome. So
there's showing up. David McDarby is playing Karn in Legacy. That's different than
people
Karn.
play Tron and stuff, or Cloud Post, right? That's a thing.
They're not Karning though. They're just killing you. They're just ever-calling you.
I want to know how many Planeswalkers have been played in Legacy have cashed Legacy Open in the last You know, how many Planeswalkers have ever cashed a Legacy Open?
Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That's one.
Liliana the Veil.
That's two.
Elspeth. Elspeth.
Yep.
Koth of the Hammer.
Koth of the Hammer is 4.
I think David's probably cast once with a Karn deck.
Karn, that's 5. Chandra Pyromaster we've seen.
That's true. Chandra.
Yep, that's 6. Jace Balerion at all? Any Jace Balerons?
I would have to imagine. I imagine there's one in the sideboard
Definitely
somewhere.
Tezzeret, Agent of Bolas,
Yep,
we've seen.
That's 8.
Domri? There's got to be a Domri, right?
I don't know if that's true.
Tybalt.
Tybalt
has cashed.
No chance.
Oh, wait. So all the Tybalt disbelievers out there, help me explain why it is that Tybalt is one of maybe 10 Planeswalkers to cash Legacy when, you know, chumps like, I don't know, Sorin Markov aren't exactly cashing.
It's not fair to bring up the destroy your own card format as the reason for Tybalt to be considered powerful. You see Ryan here start off on the draw with an Underground Sea and a Deathrite Shaman.
Ajani Vengeant has to have shown up. I know Gideon Jura has.
Yep.
Ajani Vengeant probably has. Like, why wouldn't it have? Garruk? Any Garruks in this place?
The Wild Speaker, I would
imagine.
imagine.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Garruk Wild Speaker's a thing. Ryan brainstorming. It's good to see that despite all the crazy stuff he's going on, he's staying true to brainstorm.
Still has enough common sense to have brainstorm in his deck.
Yeah, that's what I like to see. You know, because occasionally you'll see like somebody playing like mono red, but then they just have 4 brainstorms, and you're like, you know what? You get it. You're just you're a together person.
Yep. That used to be me.
Yeah.
It stopped being me at some point. Second Deathrite Shaman off of a swamp.
They just go Underground Sea, brainstorm. I'll put back a smallpox in a sinkhole. They're just playing White Weenie. Izumaru, brainstorm to find some White Weenies.
Samurai of the Pale Curtain.
Sure.
Spectral Possession and Honor the Pure.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of good Crusades in Legacy right now.
Yeah, quite a number. And now here's Counterbalance. So no Divining Top yet, but Deshaun off to a good start here.
Yeah, rest in peace completely blanking the Deathrite Shaman's activated abilities. We see Veteran Explorer roll the dice. Let's see what's on top. There's a 3. A lot of people don't realize this. When your opponent plays a Rest in Peace and doesn't remove their graveyard at first, you actually don't have to remind them.
Okay.
And this is a real thing. This is a real thing in case you have a Deathrite Shaman. Like in this spot, it looks like Deshaun may not have removed one of his lands. You don't actually have to. Now, it may also just be that they're using this as shorthand, but if you have a Deathrite Shaman and you want to be able to activate it, because this is a miss trigger that is legal to miss, you can't miss the replacement effect ability later on, but the comes into play ability, you can.
All right, Ryan going to send in the clowns here.
Yeah, a lot of these Birthing Pod decks are all about the mediocre beats. Mm-hmm. Oh, hello there. We see in Ryan Hovis' hand, Chase the Mind Sculptor preparing to, as a potential backup plan after this Birthing Pod kind of clears the way.
All right. So Ryan's going to pay the Phyrexian mana cost here.
The cost is still considered to be 4, though, right?
Yes. There's a Relic of Progenitus.
Yeah, these Miracle decks run much smoother when they're topping continuously.
Though given that the Miracle decks are often really dense with 1 casting cost spells, and so are most decks in Legacy, Counterbalance can provide plenty of value even when top isn't online.
Oh, yeah.
Deshaun with a hand of Vendilion Click and Swords to Plowshares. Normally powerful Legacy staples, but not providing a lot against Ryan's pretty anemic board.
Yeah. Ryan does have access to a Birthing Pod now, though, so Deshaun is going to find things spiraling out of control pretty quickly here.
There is a relic.
So what do you think of just playing the relic here instead of just activating it and seeing if you happen to draw wear and tear?
There's a needle as well on the sideboard too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. When the Birthing Pod deck gets Birthing Pod unchecked, has a board and has some life to play with, is under no immediate threat of being killed, it's really hard to beat. Beating Birthing Pod in honest Magic is really challenging. Here we go.
Sacrifices the Strix. What do you think is step one? Is he looking for that Deceiver Exarch?
I think we get an Exarch here.
I mean, he could always get Harmonic Sliver, right?
Yeah, he pulls that to the front.
Harmonic Sliver's kind of sexy.
Can get out of the counterbalance or blow up the rest of piece and start trying to play his graveyard value game a little bit.
How much is he going to play the value game, and how much is he trying to actually just proactively win?
Yeah, I sort of like the value game here because Deshaun's life total is pretty low, and he hasn't shown the capability of stopping the attacks from the 1/1s. So just keep playing that game.
Just hang out, do some stuff.
Just do your thing.
Keep it real.
No rush. Why are we rushing?
Yeah, we're not from Russia or Crimea.
Topical. All right, so this Harmonic Sliver on the stack here. Two juicy targets.
Rest in peace. Well, perhaps it's looking, better that this Relic of Progenitus is still in play. By not activating it, he still has the graveyard on lock.
Yep. And now we'll see what Ryan's follow-up here is.
He does have another way to kill his own creatures.
Very important, especially a veteran explorer in play. In response to Viscerus here, Deshaun is going to Vanillion Click. He's going to Vanillion Click Ryan, see a hand of Baleful Strix, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Ranger of Eos, Eternal Witness. I would be willing to guess the first time these exact 4 Magic cards have ever appeared in someone's hand in a game of Magic.
I mean, Ryan plays with these cards. It's very possible it's come up before. Dude, it warms my heart to see Jace the Mind Sculptor in there. How long do you think until Jace the Mind Sculptor gets reprinted in a standard legal set?
Probably never.
You're going to go with never?
In a standard legal set, returns to standard?
Yep.
Probably never happening.
All right. I'll take the under of 40 years.
Well, you trade with insider information, so I'm not messing with you.
I'm not. I'm just like I'm betting that there's no plans in the near future. I'm just thinking 40 years is a long time. It feels like, they reprinted Thoughtseas.
That's true. Yeah, I guess all bets are
off.
off.
Their range is like...
Yeah, who even knows?
Don't get me wrong. They're probably going to reprint, hell, they'd probably reprint... What would they reprint first? Force of Will or Jace the Mind Sculptor in a standard legal set?
Probably Force of Will.
Yeah?
I think Force of Will would be less bad for gameplay.
It would take a special world for Jace the Mind Sculptor to be okay.
Right.
But then again, it would take a special world for Thoughtseize to be okay. And that has not stopped.
And we failed to find it.
Well, we're in a special world.
That is true.
All right, so both players searching their deck for the Veteran Explorer this time. Deshaun without any Sensei's Divining Top. Instead, would rather just have mana.
And demonstrates that what was going on in the first game was in fact a ruse.
Yeah.
He does know how Veteran Explorer works.
The jig is up.
All right, so board looks set here. little odd for Ryan there to go ahead and sacrifice the Veteran Sport preemptively and then not use the mana for anything. Especially risky with an opponent that has Entreat the Angels in their deck.
Yeah, very aggressive.
Here's a Supreme Verdict. Response, Ryan going to do a little sacrificing here.
For fun and profit. Or don't.
Oh, he liked what was on top.
Yeah.
So now Deshaun with a hand of just 2 swords to plowshares. Still has the counterbalance.
There was a Verdant Catacombs on top?
Yep. More mana.
All right. Looks like Ranger of Eos time. Oh, Jace the Mind Sculptor. Good.
You've got to be thrilled. There is Wear Tear.
On top of the deck, does Wear Tear count as having a cost of 3, 2, or 1? It's Legacy. Nobody knows.
Well, Ryan's going to answer the question for us there by simply fate sealing it to the bottom.
Yeah. And his fate has been sealed.
And now here's Baleful Strix.
Baleful Strix not actually increasing the clock at all, given Jace the Mind Sculptor's ability to sculpt.
Although Deshaun has revealed a Jace of his own.
A Jace of his own?
Oh yeah, it's coming.
That would have been good last turn, or, you know, 1 card ago to counter the Jace.
It's still pretty good now.
Yeah. We have dueling Jaces, courtesy of the new rules.
There's a Brainstorm. Among other cards, Deshaun finds a Divining Top. So now the lock is in.
Everything's coming together now.
Oh yeah.
Of course, Ryan Hovis has a Birthing Pod.
And Deshaun has 2 Swords of Plowshares in hand, letting Ryan go into his turn with a creature. Ryan has drawn an Envelop.
Envelop, one of the most efficient ways to counter sorceries during your end step.
Yeah, not a lot of sorceries in Deshaun's deck, but they do matter.
Yeah. Terminus and Entreat the Angels.
Unfortunately, not great against Supreme Verdict.
Not the best, but he wasn't doing that during your end step anyway.
Yep.
So what's Deshaun's trying to spring the trap here? He's got those 2 Swords to Plowshares. Is he waiting until the Birthing Pod gets used the first time?
Maybe, but there's a risk that he just gets something value-oriented, right?
I mean, he's a generally value-oriented individual.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
That's one of the things I love about Legacy. You can see both players' hands, and you have no idea what they're going to do. Birthing Pod sacking the Strix.
All right.
Hovis searches up. Sure. A Deceiver Exarch. Why not?
It looks like Ryan has brought in the Thragtusk and the Grave Titan, so he is going...
Oh, yeah, and Glenn Archmage, too.
Yeah.
He's like on literal high-octane diesel right now. Some diesel type of time.
Just trying to find stuff that matters. All right. Sean says, okay, you can pot again. Or not.
That's the showdown? That's where you pick your spot, huh? Guess why not? Cost him some life and some mana. That's disruption.
That is.
Psychological warfare. It's a little tough because Ryan still has the pod untapped, so he can still play his a Ranger of Eos and pod that bad boy.
All right. So here is 4 mana.
This is the Ranger of Eos.
With no hesitation, Deshaun reveals Jace to the counterbalance.
He was ready for that one. That was the full-on anticipation. That's where they go to put the spell in the stack, and you just walk into the kitchen and get yourself a sandwich and tell them to look themselves.
So Jace is going to be fate sealing. Ryan says go.
Both players executing their strategy. One player with a counterbalance top, the other with a birthing pod, both with Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Jace is really good in concert with things.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's got a lot of good interactions. Like, you can balance your creatures with comes into play abilities. You can rearrange the top of your library. You can exile your opponent's deck from the game.
You can mess around with your opponent who has engineered the top cards of their deck somehow.
Absolutely.
All right, so Deshaun brainstorms with Jace. Finds a Terminus. Still eventually needs to find an answer to Ryan's Jace, as Ryan is risking just going ultimate, winning the game that way. Plan B for Birthing Pod is going ultimate with Jace.
Absolutely. Birthing Pod needs Plan B, in my opinion. Like, it needs to be able to do the mediocre beatdown. You know, the getting in there. It can't just rely on the combo. The counterbalance lock is too strong. Well, I don't know. Does Deshaun really have realistic ways of beating this Jace ultimate?
Well, he has to get it off the table. I mean, he has the Red Blast and the Pyroblast. Maybe those are still in his deck, maybe not. And he has the creatures he can go beat down with. He has his Vendilion Clicks and Snapcaster and Venser and his Entreat the Angels and such, but he doesn't have any sort of Oblivion Ring effect.
He had Red Elemental Blast main deck, and it's very possibly boarded him out.
Yep.
It takes some real just moxie to board in a Jace the Mind Sculptor against an opponent with main deck Red Elemental Blasts, where you're just like, you know what, I got you pegged.
So Ryan tries to start with an Eternal Witness here. That is met with a Relic of Progenitus on Ryan's graveyard, and then with the trigger still on the stack, Deshaun's going to go ahead and plow the Eternal Witness. This is an effort to prevent him from gaining priority with a Birthing Pod in play and a creature. So see how Ryan wants to follow this up here.
You know, for a guy with a Jace on 7, a Birthing Pod, and several cards in his hand, Ryan doesn't actually have all that much going on.
Right. What he really needs to do is find an Abrupt Decay to break out of this counterbalance.
And it looks like he just did.
Then everything becomes very easy. Or at least easier.
And it looks like he has to save the Abrupt Decay for next turn, given the shortage of green mana available to him. And now this is risky because if Deshaun wanted to, he could Jace Fate Seal Ryan and put it on the bottom. But it takes some pretty crazy reading.
Yep. Deshaun Fate Sealing himself. And now looking with top. So do you think Deshaun is now trying to go to... Now he has so many sweepers in his hand. Do you think he's trying to go into a plan of just defend myself long enough to go ultimate with Jace?
Possibly. At the very least, he wants to start ticking it up so that he can threaten to win the Jace race. with as many cards as he has in his hand, it's also possible that both players ultimate each other. Neither player with a library, both players putting their hand back, and whoever has the most cards in hand wins. I mean, it wouldn't really come to that because obviously you'd see which way the wind is going to blow, but like, kind of an exciting possibility.
So there's Abrupt Decay breaking the counterbalance. It's a Kasali Pride Mage.
Kasali Pride Mage brings respectable beats.
Now, because Kasali Pride Mage doesn't have a trigger associated when it comes into play, there's no way for Deshaun to stop Ryan from gaining priority with this in play, assuming that, you know, Ryan just goes immediately to activate his Birthing Pod. This is in contrast to Eternal Witness, which has a trigger and therefore gives Deshaun an opportunity to respond.
Yep.
All right. Time for Ryan to go potting. And he finds a Kitchen Finks.
The beats continue.
And now Ryan goes to Fate Seal Deshaun in response. That's gonna Deshaun's gonna spin top in response. Less than 5 minutes to go in the round. Now Deshaun's also racing against the clock.
Absolutely. I mean, Ryan is up 1-0. This match has been a marathon.
And Deshaun has to fend off both the pressure on the board, and every creature represents something major with that Birthing Pod in play. And also needs to find an answer for Jace. So there's a Miracle Terminus.
Terminus real big right here.
And that is worth an envelop.
So what do you think of Deshaun playing the Terminus here? He could have just drew the counterbalance, dropped the counterbalance, and then topped casting Terminus with the top on top of his deck to make sure that Envelop doesn't resolve.
Well, I don't know if Envelop was even on his radar. I mean, this is a really unexpected card here.
Who doesn't have Envelop here?
And Deshaun even with Spell Pierce in hand, so there's a bunch of counters. Even if Ryan had something like Counterspell or Mana Leak in his hand, Deshaun could have fought back against it.
Yep.
And Spell Pierce, of course, Deshaun has all the mana in the world. It had to essentially just be Envelop for this scenario to come up.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Does that count as, did Terminus have no mana spent on it or one? The reason I ask is for Nyx. The Future Sight counterspell to counter a spell that was cast without paying its cost?
You mean what's the specific ruling on it?
Yeah, like can you Nyx a Terminus?
I don't think so. I think you're still paying a mana. It's still a cost. So Deshaun spinning again. Or brainstorming rather. Has another counterbalance. So the lock is reestablished, but that is only one small step here.
One giant leap.
Inside of upkeep, Brian is going to go ahead and fetch.
Birthing Pod is untapped.
So now we'll see how he wants to proceed here. Deathrite Shaman is the draw. Can't really do anything with that in the face of Divining Top plus counterbalance.
Now, I don't know that Ryan's going to win in the next 2 minutes, but it seems real hard for Deshaun to. And with
Right.
Ryan up a game, we might be looking at a 1-0 victory. 101.
So Deshaun has found wear tear, so he can at least break out of the pod. But this, of course, forces him to set the Sensei's Divining Top on top of his deck, and now Ryan has the opportunity to Fate Seal it away. And he goes ahead and does exactly that.
So now Deshaun apparently no longer has the counterbalance lock.
Hold up. Oh, there's a brainstorm, okay.
Yep, with Spell Pierce likely to go back on top. Unless he wants to Terminus. Ah, another top.
So the lock is now reapplied, but again, unclear if Deshaun almost certainly can't win in time at this point. He has to find Entreat basically now, and he's at risk of just getting ultimated by Jace here.
Yeah, I think he's got like, one more turn in which he could find it. I mean, he's going to have, if he passes the turn in the next 15 seconds, if he passes the turn in the next 15, he has to also not die to this Kitchen Finks. He's at 3.
Yeah. Well, if he finds Entreat, he doesn't have to worry about the Finks anymore.
Yep.
So he's going to top Terminus, Caracas, Snapcaster Mage.
All right, he's going to have 2 turns after this, so if he has Entreat next turn, he can still actually win.
Well, it's not clear he has any way to shuffle his deck at this point. I mean, he gets more looks at it next turn. You know, he has a Snapcaster for Brainstorm. He has this Jason play, but...
He's going to have to do this the hard way. And obviously he has to also deal with this Kitchen Finks here. Meaning he's going to have to waste time dilly-dallying on this Terminus type of time.
Yep. And that's a full turn, and he doesn't have that many to spare.
No, considering there are 2 left in the match.
All right, Jace's Fate Sealing. Puts it to the bottom.
He wants more looks.
Can't blame him.
Yeah, but even just casting Brainstorm there with Jace would work as well. Jace isn't going to run out of counters, and you don't have enough turns left to ultimate. So this is the first turn of extra turns.
Uses Divine Top.
But now the top is stuck on top of his deck again.
Yeah. Just spinning his tires right now.
Well, this means Jace can put it on the bottom. So now Deshaun needs to Jace and find both a Brainstorm and an Entreat. Because he no longer has, or a top and an Entreat, because he no longer has a way to draw a card at instant speed. Well, he did find the Entreat, but without the top. I kind of think maybe he should have just bounced the Kitchen Finks with the Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Oh.
Like if Jace the Mind Sculptor would have bounced Kitchen Finks, maybe he wouldn't be in this spot. I don't know. This is all...
You could have also potentially tried to Snapcaster last turn to give him an opportunity to at least tax this Jace a little bit.
Problem here, of course, being that Ryan can now ultimate Jace.
So there it is. And yeah, that's it. Can't win in time, and...
Wait, Can't he just go Snapcaster my brainstorm? The first card I draw on your turn is Entreat the Angels. Entreat the Angels makes 6 angels.
Yes, that's still potentially an out there.
That's what he has.
Does he have Entreat in hand?
It's on top of his deck.
Okay, I thought he had another Terminus.
I think he has. I mean, I don't know. I'm pretty sure he has an Entreat.
But in any case, a lot of small
weird.
complexities going on right there. But Ryan Hollins wins wins that match 1-0 against Deshaun Baylock playing Blue White Red Miracles.
Crazy stuff.